Well, for the second season in a row, we've made our way through to the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal so far, getting rid of teams like RB Leipzig and Borussia Mönchengladbach, and this should really be an easier assignment, taking on a team from the 2 Bundesliga in Arminia Bielefeld, apart from the fact we're playing at home. We're not good at home at the moment. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 68 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we take on Arminia Bielefeld in a DFB Pokal quarter final, only a few days off the back of that look to keep ourselves in a European spot as we take on third place Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. So if you're looking forward to those two games coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but we've just played one game off the back of yesterday's episode, mixed results in games against Wolfsburg and Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner, and since then, unfortunately, some frustrating drop points, albeit away from home, as we did take on Mainz just outside of that relegation zone. We got off to a really good start in this game and thankfully made the most of it at the 15-minute mark. Escobar with his first goal for the club from a free kick well outside the box, but unfortunately, only a few minutes later, Mainz went down the other end with their real first shot on target in this game. Did look like it took a big deflection there, but unfortunately, Bigger put that one in the back of the net, and it was 1-1, and that was the case for a little while, but thankfully, about 15 minutes shy of halftime, we did start to get on the front foot a bit more in this game. A nice goal there down our left-hand side to Bushuari, and just before halftime, we made it 3-1. Krasnicki squares this one nicely for Amadori, the big Italian. Heads that one home. It was still 3-1 at the hour mark, so I actually took off some important players, thinking we'd keep them fresh for these quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal. But then we started to blow things a little bit inside the last 10 minutes. Unfortunately, Dorenzo with a poor giveaway there. And just as I started to time waste, a corner, and Kanga put that one home. And we dropped points away from home against Mainz. That was a really, really frustrating result. If we miss out on Europe this season, that could be the result that does come back to bite us. Probably a little bit of my fault there for taking off our players a little bit too soon in the likes of Escobar, as well as Bushuari and Cueto still coming back from their injuries. One of their first games back that they have had since they've been able to play a full game off the back of those injuries that they got in and around the winter break. But a really frustrating result there, conceding 2 goals inside the last 10 minutes. And that does mean we don't quite move our way inside the top 6, but still in a pretty good position. We are in 7th, and that of course is a Conference League playoff spot, albeit behind us, Eintracht Frankfurt 1 point adrift, and they do have a game in hand. But we'll catch up on the Bundesliga a bit more going into our second game of today's episode, because first up, it is the DFB Pokal quarterfinals, and this really looks like a tie. We should be winning. We take on Arminia Bielefeld from down in the 2 Bundesliga, and their recent form isn't that great. Only one win from their last 5 against Werder Bremen, and losses to Kaiserslautern and Union Berlin. To be fair, Union Berlin were up in the Bundesliga last season, but this does look a very winnable tie for us, and hopefully we can make our way through to the Final Four for the first time, albeit of late. Our home form, both games in today's episode, are at home, and you can see it's been a little while, at least in terms of the Bundesliga. Of course, we did beat Gladbach in the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal at home, but our league form has been really, really average at home for quite a while. We haven't picked up a win since against Hamburg right at the start of November, a long time ago now, so hopefully that does improve in today's episode. But at least we want to pick up a win here in this quarterfinal of the DFB Pokal, and hopefully do it inside 90 minutes plus injury time as well. We go into this one with no injury concerns, of course, giving those players a rest late in that Mainz game. While it cost us points, it does mean we can put out a full strength team for this first game of today's episode, so it's time to get stuck into it. As you can see, some of the other quarterfinals there, Eintracht Frankfurt, they take on Bayern Munich, and also we just make our way forward and show you guys the rest. Bayer Leverkusen take on Fortuna Düsseldorf, and Jan Regensburg, they take on Wolfsburg. Unfortunately, the draw for the semi-finals doesn't take place until the early stages of March, so probably can't reveal our opposition at the end of today's episode, but hopefully we can at least make our way through to that round. As I said before, we are at full strength. Cueto and Bushuari back, and they were a lot better in that most recent game against Mainz before I did make some stuff-ups with those substitutions, which unfortunately, as I said, did cost us a couple of points. Really frustrating. That might cost us in Europe come the end of the season, but it is time for us to get stuck in to this first game of today's episode. Just checking out if Linus Zimmer is in the mix there for Arminia Bielefeld. He's not, so maybe he's moved on as our former club captain. We did sell to them a couple of seasons ago now, but we'll tell the guys that really this is a game that we're favourites for. We are expected to win it, and hopefully we can live up to that billing. Of course, yesterday's episode bet Wolfsburg away from home, a big result, but then a disappointing one at home against Gladbach. Hopefully don't see a repeat of that in today's episode. We do have a good record as well against Arminia Bielefeld from our time down in the 2 Bundesliga. There's our lineup as you saw before. We'll just see what shape Arminia Bielefeld are going to go with in this quarterfinal of the DFB Pokal. It is a 4-3-3, so we'll get stuck in to this one and hopefully can make our way through to the semis for the first time, as it's just taking a little while for something to happen here inside the first 10 minutes of this game. We are on top in terms of possession, but so far nothing of note has happened. Escobar with a tackle, and it's a straight red card. Oh boy, we've had some luck with red cards so far in the DFB Pokal. That's not ideal. Sebastian Escobar gets a red card. So what we're probably going to do here is bring on Benedetti in place of Daniel Cueto, and Benedetti can go back into that deep-lying playmaker role. So it does mean for this one, we will be without an attacking midfielder, but that looked a bit of a harsh red card, honestly. Obviously, must have made some decent contact, but a poor start, only 10 minutes in, and we are down to 10 men. So now we're probably actually the outsiders for this quarterfinal, but that is a dreadful start for us. Hopefully that doesn't cost us a place in the semis, but now it's a massive chance for the team from the 2 Bundesliga, albeit stats-wise, we are still on the front foot in this game. So maybe that adjustment's going to work in our favour, albeit a highlight here just shy of the half-hour mark. We were briefly on the attack there, it looked like, but Arminia Bielefeld do clear their lines. Bullock plays that one back to Caminio. Poor on the ball though. Now Papala can get in behind, squares that one for Butler Gamba. We tackle it, but they make their way through our defence, and Al Hassan puts it away, albeit the assistant referee has put his flag up there, so hopefully that was offside, but otherwise Racine Bullock with a poor giveaway, and it will cost us a goal, and that would feel a little bit harsh, but thankfully the goal has been disallowed. Indeed, the assistant referee did get that one right, and thankfully he is just offside. In fact, it's not even the goal scorer, so that is a very, very harsh decision, but we will take that. Up until then, we were well and truly on the front foot stats-wise, so hopefully we can show that in a highlight, but so far nothing going our way according to the match engine anyway, and Arminia Bielefeld are still on the attack here. Lannert plays that one in for Papala, just outside the box. Lannert all the way back to Schulz. Lots of space, unleashes one, but thankfully that one, it looked like, went quite safely over the bar. Still 0-0, but stats-wise, still well and truly on the front foot in this game, but the highlights aren't suggesting that. A corner, it finds its way into the back of the net. Nikola Jovanovic scores that one, his first goal of the season. Oh, how typical Football Manager. And we are 1-0 down, and based on highlights, can't really argue, but based on stats, does feel a little bit harsh. Lots of bodies there somehow. We don't win that battle, and we get beaten at the near post. And Escobar's red card might cost us a golden chance of making our way through to the semis of the DFB Pokal. That's halftime, obviously, the red card, the big turning point, but still we have looked quite good in terms of stats, apart from the fact none of that has reflected in what we've seen in the highlights. And we go into the sheds 1-0 behind. Krasnicki and Bushuari are struggling a little bit, as is Tom Gale, but to be fair, I think those attackers might just be missing someone like Daniel Cueto. Will tell the guys we just need something else in the second half. Obviously, a little bit harsh with that red card to Escobar, but we need to show a bit more things. We have been on the front foot, need to get some reward for that. And we'll get things back underway without having to make any more substitutions, because at the moment most players are doing an okay enough job. Maybe our wingers can get switched out at some stage, and maybe if we need a goal, we might even move someone into that attacking midfield role just to see if that will help us out a little bit. But in terms of stats, we are still on the front foot and doing more here in the second half based on their XG match story. but nothing doing so far in terms of highlights, and it might be time for us here to try and shake things up. A few players are on a 6.4 and quite a few as well are down 2 red hearts, and that might actually change our plans a bit more than what I was going to do. So both wingers are down to red hearts, so I think we're going to take them off anyway. Tyler Dibbling out right, Osman Tilgan out left. Also Racine Bullock on a red heart, Miguel Chaiwa for him, and Amadori. So I suppose Clige will come on for him with our last substitution, keep these players fresh, only a few days off the back of that Mines game. And hopefully we can find a way back into this one, maybe change around some positional things in the last couple of minutes of this one if we are still searching for a goal to get back into this game. Tilgan now picks up a yellow card, will just get him to ease off tackles, but now inside the last 20 minutes, actually maybe it might be time for us to chuck Dibbling on an inside forward on attack, and also maybe Lorenzo on attack as well, and we'll chuck Chaiwa on support. We'll try and get onto this a little bit early. Also worth noting Campanelli, orange injury. Hopefully that's not too bad. Potentially something there with his groin that would not be ideal in a game that so far has been a bit of a nightmare for us. And we'll get things back underway off the back of those adjustments where hopefully we can get on the front foot just a little bit more. We will demand more, but it does feel a little bit harsh with that situation being down to 10 men now. It is time for us to try something. We'll go attacking, and also I think someone might need to go forward just a little bit more. I'm not too sure who though. We don't really have an attacking central option, so this could get a little bit interesting here. We might just try and chuck a Tilgan a little bit more infield and see if that might change things in the last couple of minutes of this one, and then hopefully those wing backs can get forward. We might actually do that down both sides and just see if that might be a difference maker in the latter stages of this game, just seeing what the best options are for these players on the bench in terms of their position. So we're going to chuck here Dibbling on a shadow striker and a Tilgan on an attacking mid on attack. And also, we might just get our defensive line to push up a little bit more and see what that does in the latter stages of this game. But unfortunately, it does look like here we are going to get bundled out of the DFB Pokal by a 2 Bundesliga team. Thankfully, this time from a corner, that one goes a bit deep and Ivizic can collect it. And now we are going to try and take this one to extra time, hopefully, with a late goal. Lorenzo, nice ball forward there for Thibaut Clige. Bit of a loose touch there, but takes it around the goalkeeper. He buries it, and that one will hopefully take this game to extra time. We might just go back to positive just briefly, and that is a big goal with only 10 men. Those changes have somehow worked. Absolute fluke from me there, that, or I'm a managerial genius, but Thibaut Clige just goes in and out, and thankfully just does enough there to put that one around the goalkeeper. 1-1 with only a few minutes left. Can we grab a winner? But I dare say this one might go to extra time, and I'll take that. The way that that game was going, especially in terms of the highlights that we were seeing, and that does mean we can make one more substitution. As you can see, stats-wise, we were still the better team in that game, but it is 1-1. Hopefully, we can at least take this to the lottery of a penalty shootout and still maybe somehow find a way to get through to those semi-finals. Just checking here on player fitness. Lots of players on red hearts, but I think the safe one here will be to take off Campanelli for Huxa on that orange injury. That's probably a safe idea going into this extra time period. And we'll see if we can somehow find a way to pick up a win and make our way through to these semis. We actually tell the guys we've been the better team, because based on stats, and that hasn't quite been the case in terms of the highlights that we have seen, but that has actually looked like it has been the case. We'll get extra time underway here and hopefully find a way to pinch this one off of Arminia Bielefeld, albeit early doors. There is a highlight. Of course, we are still playing that narrower system in terms of our front three, so hopefully we don't concede off the back of that with our wing backs having to be almost wingers as well. That takes a big deflection. Ivizic, that is awful in goal. Oh, I want to restart my computer. What on earth is that goalkeeping? He had so much time to deal with that. He hasn't. And we go 2-1 behind again. We'll go attacking off the back of that. But Huck here, this shot was from a long way out. That is pathetic goalkeeping. I'm going to blame that on Tom Gale because it's the own goal. But that is really, really bad by Ivizic there. We'll demand more, go attacking. But if that's the goal that costs us our place in the semis, obviously as well, the red card. But I'm going to be a little bit filthy. And yet again here, Arminia Bielefeld are on the attack. Hopefully now they put us to the sword if they're going to do something. Ivizic with a wonderful save. You muppet, why are you doing that now off the back of that previous thing that you just did? But now it's a corner here to Arminia Bielefeld off the back of that wonderful save. They put it into the mixer. Osmo Tilgan heads that one away. Yeah, I'm still puzzled by that. That is the weirdest goal I've seen conceded on FM for a long time. Such poor goalkeeping, and we are 2-1 down. That highlight eventually does stop, but another free kick here just shy of half-time. In extra time, Huck plays that one to Egloff. We are trying to keep them here inside their half, but obviously with less players on the field, that's going to be a bit tough. And for some reason here, Koningsdorfer will get to that ball before Dorenzo. Hopefully we can stop this, but Papella in lots of space here, edge of the box, picks out Huck. Dorenzo brings him down. Yeah, it's going to be a penalty, isn't it? This is going like an absolute nightmare in this quarterfinal of the DFB Pokal. We are so rubbish at home at the moment, obviously not helped by that red card. Then an absolute goalkeeping howler, and now Dorenzo gives away a penalty. Maybe should have taken him off at halftime instead of an injured Campanelli, albeit Ivizic now comes up with a save. What a rocks and diamonds game he is having. Been brilliant off the back of that big error he made. Now he's actually on a green rating. Not for me, he isn't, but another corner here for Arminia Bielefeld. So somehow we are still in this game. Jovanovic gets on the end of that one yet again. Thankfully this time puts that one over the bar. It is half-time and extra time. 2-1 to Arminia Bielefeld. To be fair, in extra time, certainly on the front foot a lot more, albeit I think lots of that XG has come from the penalty. But we'll get the second half of extra time underway here and then see if we need to make any adjustments late on. We'll encourage the boys, but unfortunately, just feels like this is not going to be our day off the back of that early red card. Now 5 minutes left. I think we have to just throw bodies forward here and see what that does. We'll chuck our wing backs even further forward onto attack and see if that helps us out. Also, we might go a bit more attacking with our midfielders as well. I think they can play there. In fact, Chaiwa can't, so we might just chuck Benedetti a little bit further forward instead of Chaiwa and see if we can also put him on a bit more of a positive duty, maybe a box-to-box midfielder instead of a deep-lying playmaker. We might also tell our guys to go a bit wider in terms of attack and also be more expressive, but otherwise don't really know what else to do. We've already gone to a more high defensive line, so we'll see if these guys can pull out something magic late on yet again. It is there. It was us on the attack. Of course, we are now in the second half, and Huck gets in behind yet again. 2-1. That will be a frustrating scoreline. Good chance for Papella. That one kisses the crossbar, goes over the top. It might be that Ivizic mistake, which does cost us, but so far in extra time, we've had no ball to work with, and they are getting in behind our wingbacks here, which is expected as we have to go on the attack. This could be a nightmare effort as well, because it has had to go to extra time, but Arminia Bielefeld so far just hogging the ball in this extra time period. Aideen just retreats. Hopefully we can win this one at some stage and actually get some sort of a chance. We nearly do there, but unfortunately they keep the ball, can't quite push them in that central area. Fonseca will find Becker, and they have lots of space here down the left-hand side. Becker over the top for Haku is in behind. That one gets past Ivizic. It's going to be 3-1. I think he was onside there, even if he wasn't. Don't think it's going to make too much difference, and we're going to get bundled out of the DFB Pokal by a 2 Bundesliga team, and it will largely be thanks to an early red card and also Ivizic. That goalkeeping mistake early in extra time, absolutely woeful. He's been really good since then, saving a penalty, but unfortunately, playing with 10 men, it is going to cost us. Also, Tyler Dibbling is now on an orange injury. Don't need to watch that replay again. I'm sick of this game. Let's get out of it. I might even restart my computer before the second one of today's episode. That off the back of that Mainz game. Oh, I don't like FM sometimes. And we suffer a 3-1 defeat out of the DFB Pokal. We got past RB Leipzig. We got past Borussia Mönchengladbach, albeit thanks to red cards. Maybe a bit of FM karma there with that early one to Escobar. We somehow found a way to grab an equaliser late in normal time, but then a Tom Gale own goal, which was largely the mistake of Ivizic. I'd almost swap those ratings around because of that. A save penalty off the back of that, which did keep us in the game, but unfortunately, deep in extra time, they make it 3-1. Fair play to Arminia Bielefeld, a team we have a very good record against so far. In this save, it finally comes to an end in a game where there's really quite a bit riding on it. Not happy there with Escobar, that red card. It's another poor performance. That's now a couple of those in a row. I think we've got to say that we were lucky to take it to extra time because of that red card, and we'll say it's hard to know whether the result would have been different. Might have been, I reckon it would have been, but unfortunately Escobar's early red card sent us on the wrong way in that game. We go bundling out of the DFB Pokal in the quarterfinals thanks to a 3-1 defeat to Arminia Bielefeld. And in fact, before we go forward to that second game of today's episode against Bayer Leverkusen, of course, a couple of orange injuries in that game, neither of them that good, albeit not too major, but probably means these players will miss that second game against Bayer Leverkusen. Tyler Dibbling, a pulled back muscle, out for 10 days to 2 weeks, so someone will have to come up from our second team. All the under-19s will leave that to the physio. He definitely won't be featuring. And Luca Campanelli, a pulled groin, also probably won't be available for that one. I dare say lots of rotation in that game because of how late that one did go into extra time. Thankfully, we get 1.26 million, but we lost. Hopefully that changes in the Bundesliga. And we are back about to play our second game of today's episode against Bayer Leverkusen. They've also just come into this off the back of a cup game, and they played theirs a day off the back of ours, so I suppose that could actually work in our favour, albeit they didn't go to extra time. And they won for some reason. Jan Regensburg and Wolfsburg still haven't played, but going through alongside Arminia Bielefeld, Bayern and Bayer. So I dare say that might have been tough to get through the semis anyway, but still frustrating not to get that little bit of extra money. And to be fair, some of those goals that we conceded, the first two, don't think we can blame on having one less player than the opposition, but I'll try and move on from that, even though it is pretty difficult. We are going to make quite a few changes going into this game. We'll run through those shortly, but Bayer Leverkusen are doing very well in the Bundesliga this season, and they pumped us 4-1 away from home in the first part of the season before the winter break, so it's not a game I'm expecting us to get too much out of, especially off the back of our recent form, but hopefully we can. Otherwise, Eintracht Frankfurt playing Hamburg, who are down in a relegation spot. They could jump above us into that Conference League playoff spot, which we would ideally like to keep hold of. And we'll just get here into our team sheet. Obviously, we are forced into quite a few changes. Campanelli is fit, but only on an orange hat. So because of that, it is going to be Huxer at right back. Zeminski comes up from the second team. Also, Yuri Bas in place of Dorenzo. Dorenzo is very injury prone. As well as that, Benedetti comes in for Escobar for the same reason. Also, I'll be lying if it wasn't partly due to that red card in the previous game. And as well as that, Tilgan comes in for Bushuari for the same reasons. But apart from that, everyone else on a heavy workload shouldn't be too injury prone. So hopefully we can get away with that and pick up no injuries in this upcoming game, and also maybe actually pick up some points at home off the back of a very disappointing exit in the DFB Pokal. Zeminski needs a number. He is a right back. We'll just give him 24 because it's unlikely we're going to use him in this game anyway if I can help it. He's a player who wants a new contract here. Lots of potential, but wants to be an important player at 2 stars current ability. So not too sure what the situation is going to be there with Jay Zeminski. Probably doesn't help our dynamics bringing him up from the second team, but we're going to have to, with our injury situation, we'll just give the talk that the assistant recommends for this one, albeit didn't work in that previous game. Got Escobar a bit too fired up, but we'll get through this pre-match interview. Not too sure why we've not been picking up the results at home of late, but we want to play at a higher level than our Arminia Bielefeld game, and also hopefully keep 11 players on the pitch. But as I said earlier, probably a bit of FM karma there from those previous 2 rounds where the opposition did pick up red cards. Lots of good players there in that Bayer Leverkusen team, the likes of Florian Wirtz, who tore us apart in that previous game in the Bundesliga. Also, Alex Moriba in the midfield. They are definitely the favourites coming into this one, but hopefully we can improve and actually pick up a win at home in the league for the first time since early November. We get the action underway here 5 minutes in. Bayer have had the first shot, but the first highlight is in our favour of throwing. Krasnicki keeps the ball, plays that one back to Tom Gale, up there to Benedetti, in for Escobar. As I said, partly because he's very injury prone, and also that red card, thankfully, that didn't carry over into the Bundesliga. Now Yuri Bas plays that one nicely for Osman Tilgan. We start to get on the front foot here early in this game, but he gives that one away to Bradley. Can we put pressure on them high up the field? We can't. And Alex Moriba plays that one forward nicely, and now it finds Carloni 1-on-1 with Ivizic. Tight angle, but good block there from Florian Huxer, and thankfully we stopped the first highlight of this game. Good chance it was for Bayer, albeit the highlight actually continues, but Amadori can't quite link up with Krasniqi, still 0-0 at the 10-minute mark. But thankfully, Ivizic was not tested in that first highlight of the game, especially off the back of what he did for that first goal in extra time in that previous game. Yet again, looks like we're going to try and expose them here down our left-hand side. Yuri Bas on the ball a couple of times in this passage. Now Tilgan cuts in field a bit, tries to pick out Krasniqi, actually finds him, good header back there to Bullock, plays this one forward for Daniel Cueto, can he put it away? Big deflection, and Bradley heads that one off the line. All the luck is going against us, it feels like, of late. That one can't quite get over the line. Eintracht Frankfurt above us, they must be ahead in their game. Tom Gale with a header, but it really just floats up there for Yusufu, still 0-0 coming up to the 20-minute mark, but we did get on the front foot there. Hopefully we can do a bit more of that throughout the rest of this game, but next highlight is threatening to be in favour of Bayer Leverkusen. Mariba plays that one to Wirtz. That will be a dangerous combination, I think, in this game. But at the moment, they are just struggling to get inside our half, albeit as I say that, they do get in there. Humphreys over to Carloni, plays that one all the way back though to Hincapi. Now Palacios, Humphreys, Alex Mariba, nice run. We try and shut him down, and thankfully Ivizic there, that shot goes straight into his path. He rolls it out quickly, and another highlight starts shortly off the back of that, and good work there from Krasniqi to win that ball for us. Tilgan flicks it forward. Amadori nearly gets on the end of that, but thankfully Krasniqi will, still on the front foot in this highlight, plays that one back to Florian Huxa. Benedetti up to Cueto. It's a shot. It takes a big deflection off Amadori and sneaks inside the post. That might be the luck that we need, and we grab a 1-0 lead right on the 20-minute mark. It's a very fluky goal, but honestly, I feel like we've been deserved one of those for a little while, especially off the back of that previous game. Cueto, Amadori gets his big old head on the end of it, and that somehow gets past Yusufu and just inside of that post, and we take a 1-0 lead against Bayer, albeit shortly off the back of that, it is a highlight to them. A couple of interesting results behind my head. We might update those shortly, but it is here Carloni who tries to get Bayer Leverkusen back on the attack. Maybe again a bit of FM karma here if they grab an equaliser, but thankfully that one goes just over the bar. We are still 1-0 in front, even though this time we've been the team with the worst stats in this game, but hopefully that pays us back for that cup loss that we did just suffer. But it feels like Bayer Leverkusen here at some stage will grab a goal back in this game. At the moment, we can praise our guys. 1-0 up, maybe some of that rotation, getting rid of some players on heavy workloads is going to play in our favour. I actually think Yuri Bas might not be that far away from taking that left back starting spot over Dorenzo. As you saw in that Mainz game, made a couple of big mistakes, albeit did set up a goal in that game as well. We get into the shed somehow with a 1-0 lead. As you can see, Bayer Leverkusen have been the better team, but shots on target pretty even, and thankfully Amadori, with a fair bit of luck, did put away that chance at the 20-minute mark, and we go into the sheds with a 1-0 lead. In terms of player ratings, everyone seems to be doing well, but we are just going to check on player fitness off the back of that cup game. That could be an issue, but thankfully for now, everyone is okay, albeit Krasniqi might have to come off, I think, the first one in that second half. Not too sure who for Nino Gurk is on the bench in place of the injured Tyler Dibling, but fairly happy with the scoreline here at halftime. Obviously, off the back of a couple of rough results at home, we'll tell the guys they're going well, capable of better. It's probably something I should have said in that Mainz game before I played the ones in today's episode. I told them they were doing very well. Then I made those changes to try and keep us in the cup, and that has completely backfired on us. We dropped points in the league, and then we suffered a defeat in the cup, but hopefully we can get back on track here and at least pick up a point from this game. I fully expect Bayer Leverkusen to at least get one big chance in this second half, but so far it's going quite well for us as we make our way up towards the hour mark, still up by a goal to nil. But now it might be time for us to make some changes. I expect Krasniqi to be on a red heart. Also Florian Huxa, now he's picked up an orange injury, so I think Jay Zeminski will actually have to come on here. We'll take off Bullock on that yellow for Miguel Chaiwa. Could have actually started this game, but Bullock not too injury prone, and also will take off Krasniqi. The options being Bushuari or Nino Gurk. As much as I want to use Bushuari, he is very, very injury prone. We've missed him quite a bit this season through injury, so young Nino Gurk comes up from our under-19s, albeit now these days probably should be in our second team, being 19 years old, but he can get a run on that right wing and hopefully help us keep this 1-0 lead. It would be a very big result, this one, kind of like the Wolfsburg one in yesterday's episode, so hopefully we can pick up a 3 points. It would be a big 3 points to try and keep us in that 7th spot on the Bundesliga table, now making our way into the last 20 minutes, still up by 1-0, but now I expect another couple of players to have dropped down to red hearts indeed. Osman and Tilgan. So now we call on Bushuari, hopefully no injury to him in these last 20 minutes. That will still leave us with one more sub to make inside the last period of this game, but still up by 1-0. We'll give a bit more praise here and hopefully we can hold on and bounce back from that somewhat embarrassing defeat in the cup with about 10 minutes to go here. I think we're going to cheek on things yet again. So far it's been a very quiet second half, but I don't mind that with that 1-0 advantage. Now Benedetti and Cueto, other players who are down to red hearts. I think we're probably going to have to bring on Escobar here, honestly. He's probably the best player on our bench and the best player at the club these days. So hopefully no red cards today. Please, Sebastian. Just please don't stuff this up for us again, and we'll get back underway here with 10 minutes left. We might start time wasting with 5 to go. Honestly, the second half hasn't been up to much, so hopefully that continues. Bayer Leverkusen have been on the front foot, but to be fair, we're showing a bit in the second half as well. Now we just get inside the last 5 minutes. There is a highlighter thrown in our favour, so we'll just let this roll before we potentially do look to start time wasting. Escobar with a shocking pass, but thankfully a couple of the Bayer players there do end up offside. We're just praying near the FM gods. Thankfully it did work. Escobar, oh, he's having an absolute shocker here off of the bench. Thankfully Bar should deal with this danger. Goal to Escobar. He plays a ball forward. What's that player doing running so far forward? Who is it? It's Cueto, and Bayer back on the attack again. Bale here gets in behind, squeeze that one for Florian Wirtz. It finds the back of the net. Hopefully a flag goes up. I don't know if it will. I shouldn't have bought on Escobar. How's he on a 7.0 already? The goal, though, has been disallowed, so thankfully we get away with all that poor play. Florian Wirtz is not offside. In fact, it was Vale. It's a very close run thing, but he is actually offside. So now we're going to pause and time waste. And hopefully Escobar stops stuffing things up for us. He's at a shocker in today's episode, but we'll do that, start time wasting a bit. Also, slow the pace down. We might also start to hold our shape as well when possession has been won, just to hopefully calm things down in these last couple of minutes. And hopefully we can hold on here for a massive 3 points in a game we were definitely not expected to win, especially off the back of our recent form. Hopefully no more highlights. Last 4 minutes here of added time. It's a free kick. He will give a praise as Chaiwa picks up a yellow card to hopefully stop it. I don't know if it's worked. It has worked. Genius managing there. And we're going to hold on and pick up a 1-0 win. Thankfully Escobar didn't stuff that up, although he really tried for one of our best players at the club. That was a very average episode for our young wonder kid, but a big 3 points there in a game we probably didn't deserve to win, but Amadori made the most of a bit of a funny shot there from Cueto, got his head on the end of it, and that one just took it past Yusufu in goal for Bayer Leverkusen. Wirtz's goal was ruled out due to offside. Thankfully, Vale, he was off, and that's a good win, and hopefully gets our morale back up off the back of that defeat in the cup. And that's a big win, of course, because now with no cup football, our focus entirely is on trying to get a European spot in the rest of it this season. Definitely had some luck in that game, but thankfully made the most. Apparently they're in average form. Don't think they've seen us of late, but for now we move into 6th place on the Bundesliga table, albeit Eintracht Frankfurt and Stuttgart do have games in hand, albeit Stuttgart are a little way away. So probably just keeping an eye out on Hoffenheim and Eintracht Frankfurt. Hoffenheim, they drew with Mainz 4-4 despite a red card, so a couple of interesting games there for the teams in and around our spot. It does look like Bayern Munich, with 9 games to go, are going to be the champions yet again. Might do the double off the back of winning their DFB Pokal quarterfinal over Eintracht Frankfurt. But now we move into a Europa League spot off the back of an upset 1-0 win over Bayer Leverkusen, our first win at home since November in the league. So a good upset win for us in that second game of today's episode. I was actually going to go forward and see if Eintracht Frankfurt played that game in hand, but obviously playing on the same match day, that was not the case. They beat Hamburg 1-0, so they do keep in that fight alongside us in Hoffenheim for that Europa League spot. RB Leipzig play the day after us. You'd imagine they'd pick up a win at home against Schalke, but thankfully we are still right in that fight for European football with only 9 games left in our season. Hopefully we can pick up our form a little bit off the back of recent times and maybe make Europe for our second season in the Bundesliga. As you can see of late, not too many wins in that month of February off the back of a pretty good January as well as December and November, so our form just starting to taper off a little bit. But now with no cup football, it does mean all our attention can get turned to that run home in the Bundesliga. But that will do it for today's episode. In fact, it won't, because also, of course, Florian Huxer, we took him off with an injury. It was a gashed upper leg. He is going to be out for 6 to 8 days, so it does mean he misses our next game, but should be back for the one after it. Thankfully, Campanelli should be back to full fitness for that next one, which I believe is also against Schalke, and indeed it is the case. So hopefully, RB Leipzig might pick up a result against those guys, so Scott Parker's team are in the mud. But if you enjoyed today's episode, unfortunately that loss in the cup, but backed up by a win over Bayer Leverkusen, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. Over the course of the next 2 episodes, my plan was to keep them in line with the semi and potentially the final of the DFB Pokal. Don't have to worry about that now, so we'll get through the rest of the season in these next 2 episodes. We've got a couple of very winnable games off the back of Schalke and Bayern Munich, 2 teams bottom of the table, so hopefully we at least pick up 6 points in the month of March. We might come back at the start of April, because 2 big games taking on teams around us at the moment on the Bundesliga table. Another derby against RB Leipzig, this time in the Bundesliga, and the first one away from home. And off the back of that, we take on Eintracht Frankfurt, hot on our heels in pursuit of a place in Europe for next season. So I think we'll come back for those games at the start of April. Also by then, we should have had our youth intake. Hopefully it'll be a good one, just looking at the preview for that. Once we make our way over, I believe it was actually supposed to be an excellent intake this year. It was and it is, in terms of potentially 2 strikers plus an attacking midfielder. So it could be quite a good youth intake here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Hopefully one of the best ones we've had so far, albeit always a bit skeptical about those ratings from our head of youth development. But tomorrow we'll have that youth intake as well as those games against RB Leipzig and Eintracht Frankfurt. Hopefully we pick up enough points in between now and then to stay in a European spot. So until tomorrow, for that Leipzig Eintracht Frankfurt double, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, left through the sadness. Don't know